I'm not sure.
Sure, sit wherever you want me to.
Yeah.
Sit on the floor if you want.
You can sit here in this
Sit there.
comfortable.
Thank you. Oh, so
You
a
okay?
black hole.
On you go. I have this golden throne.
What do we do?
Spiel.
You want to spiel?
Yeah, you
Or
okay?
we
Hmm?
I suppose there's people listening, aren't there?
Yes.
Yeah, do it for people. Only.
Yeah, there are people here.
Well, not talking to anybody. Not talking to any mind. What I'm talking to that I am, to that sense of presence. That I am, that sense of presence that expresses through the mind as the thought I am. Just to this, nothing else. And what we talk about is nothing new. It's what they call, in Hinduism, Advaita. Advaita translated means non-duality. And they try to describe non-duality by saying it's one without a second, not two. And if you see that, what makes things two, what divides, is the seeming word, the thought, the idea. And the word is not real. It's not the actual. What's your name?
Tamsil.
Been in
I've
before?
been here before, I haven't
Yes.
been for a few
Yes.
months.
You got a nice head. She's incognito with the sunglasses.
So that's how problems began when we learnt words, when we were a little child. Before that, before we learnt words, how could you say who or what I am? How could you say anything or think of anything without the label, without the word? Just be pure thinking, pure seeing, pure hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, which is happening all the time anyway. Which to translate it or describe it, we have learnt words. And the words are not the reality. The word water, you can't drink it. The word fire, you can't burn it. God doesn't burn you, I should say. And any other word is not the actual thing. It's only a description or a concept we put on it. Put on the thought, the feeling, or the emotion. And words are not the real. So we've taken on this belief that we are this person, this separate entity, this individual. So if the word and the description is not it, you must not be the word either. So the word I and me is not what you are. Now, talking about non-duality means not two, so great mantra is I am that. Innately, we all know that.
Yes.
Because you're sitting in a chair, that is a chair. You're sitting in a room, that is the room. Seeing the people, that is the others. Everything is that, which we put label more discriminating words on to put the meaning into them, and separate the thatness into things. So you are that, I am that, everything is that, and we are all things. The chair you're sitting on is a thing, it's that also, that's a chair. The space in the room is a thing. All the trees, the flowers, all the manifestation are things. And space itself has no beginning, no end, no centre, no circumference, no inside, no outside. It is no thing. Can something come from no thing? It can't. But try and postulate or think of something that's outside of space. You can't postulate. Anything you say, well, it's this, it's that, what's it in? It's got to be in space. Space is absolute. Understand that right from the start. It's absolute. You can't add anything to absolute. You can't take anything away from it. It's also perfect. There's another term of putting it. What can you add to the perfect? What can you take away from it? Nothing. So, can you postulate or think of anything outside of space? You can't. But space itself is no thing. And yet, it is in that no thing which all these seeming things appear to be. Everything is in space. Yet something cannot come from no thing. So it's all the no thing which all these things are appearing, which are the content of no thing. If something cannot come from no thing, they all must be no thing itself. That means you, me, and everything else, all these things, are really, in essence, no thing. Just patterns, shapes, forms. And the great mantra they tell us in the scriptures is, I am that. That is the thing. So, again pointing out that all the things are really no thing. Now it's all appearances. Now they call that a phenomenal manifestation. It's the manifestation is made up of phenomena. And the definition of phenomena in your dictionary is that which appears to be. So all this manifestation is appearing to you, including yourself, and everything else is appearance. Yet it's no thing. So what must you be? You must be the same as space, the cognising emptiness in which everything appears, the one essence in which everything appears in. You must be that. But we seem solid, substantial, and separate. But again, the scriptures point out it's indivisible and it's inseparable. So though we're seemingly dividing it, what we're seemingly dividing is not the labels or names which we discriminate and put the words on. all these words appear in the opposites. Can there be pleasure without pain? There be happiness without sadness? Can be love without hate? How could you discriminate it? Get in a bath of hot water. When does it become cold? You'll sit in it and wait, but you can't tell me the exact point where it becomes cold. So they're not separate. All the time it was water. And when we put these thoughts on it and divide it, well, what have we done? We've divided ourselves from the no-thingness, the nothingness. We call it nothing, but that's the wrong take, because nothing means it's a vacuum, a void, zero, zilch. But you know these things that you're expressing through or out of is not a vacuum, a void, or the body is not a vacuum or a void, but you can't give it a shape or a form, though it appears to have it. It's any substance. Because you can break it down. I am the body, my body. What's the body made up of? Made up of elements. Air, earth, fire, water, space. Separate yourself from those elements if you can. Your body is 60% water, at least. Take the water out of your body. Where would you be then? Take the fire out of your body. Body temperature. Starting to get cold now. If it gets much colder, you get hypothermia and die. Take the breath away. Stop breathing. How long can it last without that air? Take any of the other concepts we got about this body or anything at all away, and can it be without its opposite, to discriminate? How could it, if it hasn't got the shape and form, how could it be anything other than the space? So when we think space or emptiness is a hard thing to find, and we think we've got to become formless or empty. But you're only already that, appearing as other. You've never been anything other than the Absolute. When did you begin? You'll say, I began at birth. So if somebody put the concept in, when we learnt, words we've learnt that you were born. And you can't, if you were born, you'd remember your birth, wouldn't you? But nobody can remember their birth. People claim that they remember their birth, but how could you remember your birth if you didn't have any words? Nobody told you who you were or what you were. How could you say, I was born even? So the birth happens and your parents look after it, but it's got no words. We don't learn any words till we're about 2.5, somewhere around that age, when the capacity of reasoning starts. Now, in that pattern body, as long as the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, without labelling anything, just the pure functioning, the breathing, the heart beating, now we start to learn words. And when we learn words, the first primary words we learn, that sense of presence, the knowing that you are, the sense of being, knowing and loving to be, translates with these words where parents are telling it. They tell you your little Billy, your little Johnny, or your little Kate, Cat, or Bob, or whatever your name might be. And then instead of reasoning or recognising that that is a totality, I'm not separate from any of it, you take on the ideal this thought I or me, this sense of presence, that I am, we add it onto that sense of presence. And it become the I amness. But instead of I am the absolute, I am Bob, or I am Cat. We put these labels, what we've been labelled with from our parents, and take ourselves to be that. Another label we put on ourselves, your being, you can't negate your beingness, but I'm a human being. I'm being human. And that concept of human beings with other appearances around us, which we've learnt, have put words on, and we've learnt words from them, they are being. But instead of just being human, or the tree, being a tree, or being the room, or being the pure being, we put these meaningful labels, words we've learnt. I am being the tree, I am being this body, I am being this person. And so that energy of belief goes into it. And we start reinforcing it every day. I am Bob, or I am little Johnny, or little Billy, I am so-and-so. And your parents are telling you, little Johnny, do this or do that. Be a good boy, be this. And I start taking on these words, again learning them, picking them up along the way. All take to believe, and we add on to everything. We put meaning on that discriminates them. If everything is that, how are you going to discriminate the chair from the floor and from the space, or from you or me or any other thing? So we put meanings in it, and we put meanings into ourselves. I am Bob. This Bob has now become this person. Person coming from the persona, the ancient Latin, the mask. Put a mask of concepts. What's a concept? A mental construct. And what's a mental construct? A word. What is a word? A word is a sound. What is a sound? A vibration. And what is a vibration? A movement of energy. So the same with the body. Body's these elements, earth, fire, water, space. They can be broken down to subatomic particles. And those subatomic particles can be broken down into atoms, subatomic particles, atoms, into no thing, into pure space-like awareness or emptiness, which has the capacity itself of knowing or cognizing. And they call it a cognizing emptiness. And we think that ourselves, we are cognizing, with the words we've learned, we are cognizing emptiness. But we're not. It's the essence itself, the emptiness itself, in which all these things are appearing in patterning, shaping and forming. And as everything is that emptiness, the cognizing or knowing must be there also. So it's the emptiness that's doing the cognizing. And as emptiness is vibrating into forms, patterns, shapes and forms, the forms can be nothing other than the emptiness. So take that on, that you are that cognizing emptiness, pure intelligence energy, that's seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, breathing, knowing, doing everything. Not the me, not the person, not the individual. The person, the individual, the separate entity, cannot do anything at all because it's only an appearance. It's only vibrating. It's only that energy vibrating. So it can't do anything at all. But we've got the idea, we've read in the scriptures and things, that there is a higher power, a greater power, that's higher and better than us, that knows more than us, can do more than us. And we've taken it to be real. We call that God. Put a different label on it. And if you recognise, again, it's just a label, just a word, and the word's not the real, you might look at the statement in the Bible in a different way. In the beginning was the Word. And that's when, with the words, we started to recognise and know things. The Word was with God. So when we got the belief there is a beginning, a start, we put that label on it. God is greater. It was there before us. All things were made by the Word. Point to anything in this room without putting a label on it. You realise that everything has got the label on it. So all things were made by Him, to that alleged God, which is a word. So all things were made by the Word. What is the Word? The thinking process. There was nothing made that was made. No thing, and we're all things. None of it was made without the Word. Because what did you know when you were a little child without the Word? You were seeing, you were hearing, you were breathing, heart beating, you were functioning, but you weren't discriminating it. You had no labels. So we didn't begin until we learnt words. Though there you were, being fed by your parents, living, breathing, walking around, starting to make sounds, and then taking on board some of the words your parents told you, and began to learn the words. And the words the parents told us, you little Billy, you little Johnny, and the learned words, I am that little Johnny or little Billy. That is me or I. But what is I or me? Words or sounds? I is that sense of presence. There's a knowing where that sound's coming from through this pattern, which is the voice box for all the words to come through. Words are coming through this pattern as I or me. Now it's just saying, it's me, Bob, that's saying these words. But without that pattern, there was no words. And with all these words, we've got different labels on to discriminate them. Otherwise, we're saying one homogeneous blob. But you're looking around this room right now, and you're seeing all sorts of things. Everything in the room you've got a name for. Now, what if you look around without labelling anything? Have you stopped seeing? No. You're seeing everything, but you're not discriminating it. You're not separating it. You're not saying, that's a chair, and that's the mirror at the back of the room, that's the space in the room, that's the carpet. You've got words for everything in the room. But if you look around the room without labelling anything, you still see it, and you still know what it is. You know it's not an homogeneous blob there. You see each thing has a different pattern, shape and form, and without putting the label on it, you're not going to take it as all a one homogeneous blob and trip over it or think of it. You're going to see the separation, you know. So you know what everything is before you discriminate it. And look on life the same way. Everything is known before it's discriminated. And with these words, that's how we can communicate. with the word. But we've got to put the different meanings in them, otherwise they will not be valued. Even the animals that don't know any words, they have sounds, which is all a word is. A sound, a concept, which we put on the name. Sound is word, words are vibration, a vibration's a movement of energy. So it's still that same movement that's seemingly appearing in the manifestation, in which all this, the hills, the mountains and everything that makes up the phenomenal manifestation, which is appearance only, just like the tree made the chair came from a tree, if it's a wooden chair, and the couch came from an ox hide or a horse hide or a cow hide. Discriminated even further, but it's still the same essence. And the seeming movement and the wind and all the rest of it, discriminated by the word. And the word seems real, and the thing appears real. The air, the earth, the water, the fire. Now, if a tree wasn't made the way it is, and the wind or the air wasn't there to breathe in, it wouldn't last long. And the tree that didn't bend in the wind, didn't have that suppleness in it, would snap. So it all seems to be a very amazing and wondrous and active vibration. And this vibration is movement. It does act. And it acts as all these different things. Have a look at yourself. You're breathing. If you didn't breathe, that life essence wouldn't be there. Your heart's beating, expanding and contracting. Your food is being digested. The bowels are working. The heart beating, pumping blood all around the body. It's full of activity. It's full of energy. It's full of knowing. And that knowing is not the known or will be known. It's something that's acting right in this moment. It's a vibration of that energy, the knowing. And it's expressing through your eyes as the seeing, through your ears as the hearing, the tasting, the touching, the smelling. It's rolling the earth around the sun, causing the seasons to come and go, the tides to come in and out. Only that. One. Only that. Nothing other. But we're told again, because now we've taken on this division and separation, we're told, well, you've got to become that. You know, you're not going to get it so easily and simply, because the one that's telling you that thinks they can have some control over you, and they want to control you, to tell you what to do and what not to do and what you can do and what you can't do. So even though some of them are recognised, haven't lost into it totally, because they think they have more power than the other, and set themselves up as saints, saviours, and seers, sages and seers, and give you this, what you've got to do, a list of things you need to do. And people have written by it, the ones that really knew You exactly tried to point it out to others, and some of the others that didn't understand it properly have formed all these traditions, the religious traditions. And so people get tastes of it there and go into these traditions, but they never get the actuality of it unless they go a little bit further. And that's what you people are doing here. You recognise it wasn't in the scriptures. You had taste there was something more in them. And you realised you couldn't stay stuck in this conceptual imaging, which is bringing up fear, stress, anxiety, unhappiness, guilt, shame, remorse, all the psychological suffering concepts are coming up from that erroneous belief there is me and the other. If there's no me to think all these things, where's the other going to be? Can there be other without me? Can there be any separation at all without the other? So me is the thought, I am, the primary thought. You weren't born with that thought. But your parents, when your parents gave you the word, your little Johnny, your little Billy, you are, and I am is the opposite of you are. I am. Instead of being what I am, I've taken on the belief that I am this person. Instead of realising what was pointed out, that there is only the absolute, there is only the one essence, I didn't believe that, because now I seemingly means me or separation. So I've taken on this belief I'm separate. But if it's absolute, can there be anything other? There can't be anything other. And that again is why it can only be appearing to be. Because there can't be really actually anything other. So I am that absoluteness. I am the one without the other, without the second. And I look at other things, and those that really understood will tell you there is no division in it, it can't be divided. So if there's no division, and I am is all there is, who can ever be superior to me? Who can ever be inferior to me? And what would I want of the other person? If I am absolute, I couldn't care less about anything. It's all that essence that I am. No need to acquire or attain or get anything. So a lot of the problems are going to fall away if I'm not relating. And the opposites are the one, and a lot of them seemingly become one day. You fall in love really and truly, two opposites coming together. Isn't there a bond or a love or a sense of oneness if you're really in love with it? Starts to cancel itself out and go back to where it always was. And they tell you that also. Instead of trying to become something, realise it's all the pure being, and being cannot become anything. It's just as it is. and start with that fact. I am already that. Being, knowing, loving to be. And from that natural merging, what happens? The next pattern, shape or form, the little child will come up and needs to learn words again to keep the idea of this appearance going, this dreamlike patterning of appearance. And in that merging of the opposites also, when we start to realising that these words and concepts are dividing also, and see that there's two ends of the one stick, good and bad, there's just a different end. This part's good, that part that's collapsing all the time is not so good, it's bad. You put everything to it and see that. So it's all the one essence, two ends. And when we got the good, we don't want it to go, we don't want the bad. But when you realise it's never divided, and though it slides from one end of the scale to the other, it's still going to come back, and that meets in the middle of the equilibrium where it's equal. It'll stay there for a while and it'll vibrate one way or the other again because of the vibration. Instead of fighting it, fighting the good and the bad and struggling with it, and causing more concepts to come and believe in, just leave it rest. Relax into it as it is. And will change by itself. And it does. It vibrates by itself. Just the same as past, future, present. It always comes back in opposites. And you are that essence. So remember that. Don't forget it. You'll never get the answer in the mind. And they tell you that also. They say you'll never get the answer to the mind because it's the peace that passes all understanding. When they put that term on, all understanding, means it can't be understood and grasped by the mind, yet we continue to do it. But they're pointing out there that the peace is when the mind is not. When there's a stillness there, or not latching on to the mind, or bypassing it, or stepping over it, or breathing it out, or doing whatever can be, not leaving it unfixated so it can move on, then that's when you'll find the peace. And you realise that is what you are, that peace, that sense of well-being, that joyousness, that love of life. So that'll do.
Yes.
I have a comment here from online. Just have to find it.
You wanted the spiel, you got it.
Thank you.
Cats sit on the cats. How do cats, small cats come?
Don't be too sure about that. I have other preferences. Yes, so welcome everyone who is online with us, and we have 17 people, and welcome messages plus just what you said right now. Vivek commented, agreed Bob, most people get satisfied with good deeds or religious practices, but truth, reality is a step ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that is really all regarding commenting.
And truth is know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
That is.
That's the way out.
And let's be honest, there are people who find the truth in religions and practices
Yes.
and good deeds, because
Yes.
truth is Like there is really one essence. It vibrates into all the shapes, forms and patterns. In religion, every religion is based on that same non-duality source or core from which all the thoughts and ideas spring. So you can dive even to religion. You can farm the potatoes and find the truth wherever you look, because the truth, everything that you see is the truth in the essence, is the illusion in the appearance, but the truth in essence. It is that vibrating energy. And I know, Vivek, you know that. I'm just kind of expanding it to include everything, religions and practices and deeds as well, because that's also the way life expresses and experiences. So now we open it for the discussion. So please, anyone who would like to add anything?
Put your ears on now.
You can, yes, Bob can put your hearing aids if he likes, and I'll give it to you. And happy Mother's Day to everyone who is here or not here because of it. You want to say something, Dean?
No.
Aww. Peter?
Peter's always got something to say. Heyman, you want to say something? You'll say
Here,
something.
I'll just ask a question. Maybe Bob, can you talk more about waking up? This whole idea of waking up. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. Just like I want to hear.
Wait.
Well, being, knowing, loving to be, waking up.
To the dream, from a dream, who's to wake up,
Yeah.
who's not to wake up. And the practicality of it as well.
Is anyone asleep right now? You're not asleep right now, you're not unaware. Now that awareness or wakefulness is what you really are. And it's not sleeping. It's obscured and lost sight of by concepts. And we think we lost it or we're not awake. But find a time when you're not unaware. You say, when I was asleep, I was unaware. But were you really? When you look into it, if you were asleep or out of it, why would you wake up? But you wake up quite easily and realise, I slept well. I slept deeply. How would you know that? If you're asleep. Means there was something there that's doing the cognising or the knowingness. And had the breathing and the heart beating and all the functioning stopped when you're asleep? It hasn't. The spontaneous functioning going on just like it did in the first couple of years of your life when you had no words. There are no words, no thoughts, feelings going on, but you still are. And you wake up from the dream you're having in the night. If you dreamt in the night, you knew what was going on. You wake up in the morning and it seemingly carries on from where it left off the night before. Now, if it seemingly can carry on the night before and you in deep sleep it was the finish of you, it wasn't. Because you wake up and it carries on. As though, knowing there it wasn't broken at all in any way, shape at all. It's still there, the living, the breathing was happening. So they call it this ever-fresh present wakefulness. And It's ever present and ever fresh. So you're awake right now, you're not unaware. Point it out. Seemingly gets obscured, but look through, investigate, and see that the obscuration is not the fact. You still are that.
And
so
there is
awake and aware are the same thing. They're
Yes.
synonymous.
Yes, in a lot of the scriptures, it's like this ever-present wakefulness. Tell you, meaning is awareness, ever-present.
You can't be not awake if this awareness is ever present. It's not possible to not be awake.
and there is a practical aspect to it.
Oh yeah, give me the practicalities.
Yes, because
You know, I love
You've-
practicalities.
I know, and I know you've experienced, and you probably experienced many times through the day, the daydream. Basically, just thinking about politics, which is not happening right here, right now. Or thinking about this Mother's Day. It's not where my mother is, but it's probably where yours is, or you are a mother. So daydreaming about something that is not happening in the immediate seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. And that's the daydreaming. And you can snap out of it. So you may...
So am I not awake if I'm daydreaming?
Well, can you actually see the difference? Can you see
see the dream is
qualitative difference of being present and being absent-minded in the daydream? If you can't see it, then we can't continue. But if you actually honest and you really watch yourself and the quality of presence that you have when you are not absent-minded, when I'm talking to you and you're not thinking about your mother or your children or anyone else, but you are really with me listening. And this, can you see the difference between the quality of presence when you are not really present with what I'm saying, but you are imagining other things?
Sure.
So you can see the difference between being absent-minded daydreaming and being present and aware of what is happening in the immediacy of this moment.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
And that is what is usually meant when they talk about waking up from the daydream of being individual, separate entity, of being something else than this presence, this awareness, open field of consciousness. Hi, Michael. So, because this is a pointer, waking up is a pointer. We may prove that this is a ridiculous idea. Oh, you're already awake. It's bullshit, bullshit. Discarded. There's no one to wake up. There is nothing to wake up. We can discard every pointer like this. How practical is that? We can just hypnotize ourselves in saying that, no, look, I'm already enlightened, there is a me that is enlightened, and I don't need to actually look through anything or investigate because there is no me to look through. And we can stay in that state of hypnosis, suffering along the way and fearing sickness, old age, and death. That's not practical. So,
You wanted to say something.
Well, I put it beautifully in one of the Buddhist scriptures. Be utterly awake, with the five senses wide open, where you're seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling equally. But you see, if we're focused on one and focusing on it, we're obscuring the others. So even though they're going on. And it says, be utterly awake with the five senses wide open, and be utterly open with unfixated awareness. Where you're open to all the senses, where you're not seeing partially, instead of seeing them all. So instead of being blocked off, the livingness is there fully with you.
and eventually daydreams come and go through that open field, and they don't have to, the awareness of presence doesn't have to be completely kidnapped by the daydream. There is still awake presence in which the daydream comes and goes. And that's the difference, because most people, when you look around, and I remember that myself, state of living in my head, constantly being pulled from one conceptual overlay of the dream to another, once I was this in that context, the next thing I was that in the other context, and the reality of being was totally overlooked and totally unimportant and unattractive. And now those contexts, they may still come and float through the awareness, but the awareness is there in the background, shining, and it is most important. It is more important, attractive, lovable, and appreciated than the dream. The passing dream, of course, is great. It can be enjoyed to the fullest, but it's not believed, so it can't hurt. It doesn't cause the suffering. And well, at least this is how I feel that awakening idea or the pointer to wake up from the daydream. I think that's how this could be used as a practical thing rather than a nonsense that we can discard altogether with everything else, because yeah, we can discard every word or we can use it. We can discard the finger pointing at the moon or just look where the moon is, because as we said initially, even religion, everything points to that, because there's nothing other than that. It is all there is. It's just how do we want to look. If pointer seems ridiculous, you may just put it aside, or you may assume that there is still truth behind it, because the essence is truthful. So even the ridiculous pointer, if you know where it points, it will take you there. And of course there is no one to be taken anywhere. We can discard that too. But yeah, they can all be useful. Peter?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think eventually the phone book can become the book of holy names. You know. John Smith. Oh. There is a saying in Sufism. I got introduced to this wonderful little idea recently that it all begins as a longing in the heart. You know, and we know what that is. Isn't it? This process of waking up is it's just a longing for reunion, isn't it? Longing for something. We don't know what it is, though, really, do we? You know. So what do we do? We keep showing up. We just keep showing up. Just bring ourselves to the coal face, or trying to understand, or the cliff edge, or something. We don't really know. Not on this level. Not on this intellectual level. But it does get revealed to us, because, you know, just continue on from that Sufi idea, it's like the soul is dragging us home. And I was talking to Dean coming in about this notion that in reality we wake up backwards, we go out backwards, not forwards through the intellectual reasoning process, but out backwards, dragged by the soul over the coals of our constructed identity. You know, out backwards over
unlearning.
Over the our insistence that it be thus. You know, transformational processes that require that you come out from what you think you are. And like the chrysalis and the butterfly thing, you know. We're always dying a death in order that we can be renewed as something much more spectacular that we knew not of. Isn't this what the waking process is all about? And I think the mind is just a surface gate. We have to satisfy the mind because, you know, it discriminates. It is the vehicle with which we filter all this information coming through, and the logical mind says, all right, well, yeah, that makes sense, I'll say yes to that, and then all of a sudden you get this big gawumpa, kind of a download of embodiment of this, right? And that is beyond words altogether. It's just love incarnate. So it's kind of like you've got line drawing on the top, and underneath is a big sort of, splurge of blue paint, sort of thing, which represents the totality of consciousness, which is in a kind of unlimited depth and width and beauty and union. But these things are totally beyond words. They just grab you and then you're gone. Yeah.
Sorry. So we are all in this together equally. We are all in this together equally. We are all in this together equally. So we are equally in this together, every single of us, every individual of us. We're all together equally in this. We're all in this together equally.
Amen.
Thank you.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I literally mean that.
Yeah. So you feel like there's been a kind of disparity and equality here, or something like that. Do you feel like you?
No, but even if it comes, it is part of the process, and it's accepted equally, same as any other thing.
Well, it's true. We are all into this together. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because we are all one thing. No, you cannot be left out. It's impossible. You're totally included. Nothing can be left out.
Yes.
As my old mate Hector used to say, God does not make what's the word for it? God does not make faulty things, if you like.
Yes.
Everything is perfect.
Yes.
In the sense that we simply keep showing up. Why? Because we're moved to do that. We're moved to find something, aren't
I
we?
was thinking to say reality does not make mistake.
Exactly. And in that sense, yes, we are all equal. We're all equally doing this. Because we're all standing on the edge in all our pattern shapes and forms, so differently arranged. But we're all standing on the edge of not knowing. And diving in, waiting, if you like, with open arms and an open mind, and letting...
And still
letting
doesn't
it be.
accept you. Even hours and hours and hours.
Well,
Days
that's
and
been
days
your
and days.
experience?
Well, it can be. It was, but it doesn't mean anything. Because all there is this. This doesn't come from that. This is not relevant to that. There is no process. It's immediate. It's this. That's it.
Some comments from people who are with us. Oh, can you move it out? Oh, thank you. Yes, so we have a comment from Amarnath, and he says, waking from waking state is waking up. And he also says, we are never unaware, never sleep. Body-mind may sleep. We are aware of everything. Yeah, that's a good point. Who is to wake up and who is never asleep? Because there is a reality and there is a dreaming mind. Where is the identification? Non-duality sends a heart. Separation, division, mind is absent, says Amarnath. And Vivek says waking up equals just be. Amarnath, there is only practice naturally going on sahaja, natural state. No practitioner, no theory at all. And thank you, Kat. Mind hides by saying I am nothing, nobody, but fails to experience nothing is everything and nobody. No body is also everybody. And non-duality unfiltered says Kat's explanations are great. Thank you. And Byron says, can dead people talk? Yeah, what's the experience? Vivek, who is try to wake up? There is just presence. There is no real waking up. Yeah, again, see the experience. There is no one waking up, and yet there is a presence that is never asleep, and there is a dreaming mind that may just stop. And all thoughts and talking is theory, but same without thinker and talker. It's practical. How funny is this? That's Amarnath, and a lot of laughing. Yeah. And Byron says, no, no, no. There is no beginning or ending. Beautiful. And Byron also says, no, you are already at home, just not in touch with it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You are already that. How clear is that? How clearly is that understood and experienced? And Catherine says, James says, hello to everyone listening. I'm so grateful for being led to two living beings who are fully awake. What a miraculous happening. Love to you, namaste. And thank you, James and Catherine. And Byron says, all I say is me, me, me. And Byron also says, keep on dreaming. Death of death, says Amarnath. And Byron, we are in this together equally, yes, except you, except the me or whatever. Amarnath says, many is mind. And Vivek, mind is causing illusion. Mind wants something or other thing, sleeping, waking, dreaming, is all in the mind. Its own question and its own answers. Mind wants to make things complex. The source is not being noticed. That's beautifully said, Vivek. Really nicely and clearly. Yeah. What is dreaming and what is never asleep? That's Amarnath says, mind itself is illusion, has no cause. Yep, the movement. Mind is the movement. The stillness never moves. But it is a source, a potentiality for movements. It's a source of movement. And that is it for the online comments. Would anyone like to jump in and say something or the other, relevant or not? Oh, Michael, come.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the phone book, John Smith, but I think for me it probably needs to be used as a Zen stick, across the head would be better. I forget what I was going to say now. It was about the past and like how we bring, and I know there's no time, so there's only now, but we bring a memory of family, a story, a history into now. And so when they're not around us, is there no existence? That they just don't exist. It's just a story. It's just a thought. And if you let that go, and they appear again, they're just appearing now.
Yes,
Is that it?
that's
Beautiful.
it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's hard to let go of that story, isn't it? To live it.
You want to say something, Dean? No?
I think it's wonderful, really wonderful. And that's the key to all our relationships, isn't it? Rather than just focusing in on disillusionment of that structure that I've plonked on my lover or my son or my daughter. You know, that construction of how they are, should be, or how we're always battling against the disillusionment of that, into what you've just so beautifully and presently put there. That if we just allow that disillusionment, that deconstruction to take place, and then we find them, as Bob just said, fresh and new in the moment. And you know, that's the key to liberating all our relationships, isn't it? Into a condition where there, if you like, there is no relationship. That, you know, you're just absolutely ecstatic that they've shown up in the morning yet again, or fresh, rather fresh and new. Yeah, I like that. Thank you very much.
So for those who are kind of there, can I just ask, there has to be some sort of conditioning left though, doesn't there? Like some of that, isn't that conditioning still there? So there's still triggers that are going to trigger, or is it just totally fresh and new, like it's really fresh and new?
Well, how would you experience it?
Oh, I've got triggers. So for me, there's still history. There's still, and I recognise it. So I recognise the thoughts. I recognise, and I catch it quite quickly. So I see it quite quickly. It's gone quite quickly, but the triggers are still there, and the responses are there sometimes. Yeah, often.
How about your dog? You have this beautiful, cute little dog.
Yeah.
Does he has triggers and responses?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's natural.
Yeah. True. So it's just not holding on to it. It's really not believing the story, even though the story comes up. So it's not that the story goes away.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That does make it easier.
Yes. I have a couple of comments from people who are here. Let's see.
There is Byron says, but somehow in all this, Bob is getting younger and stronger.
Don't know about that.
Don't you? I do. And
Let's give him a blast of Shakti.
He caught it.
I got it. Thank you.
And we have another comment from Kiran. Hello, beautiful cat and Bob. Still searching, even though apparently I shouldn't be. And a laughing face. And now Kiran says, and still getting frustrated at the fact that I am searching, but shouldn't be. Who would have thought living in the moment would be such hard work until it isn't? And the reverse smile. Yes, see who is searching and who is not, because there is a part of you in your heart deeply. Maybe it is up at the surface, or maybe it is buried deep down inside, which is already okay with everything that is and seeking nothing, just appreciating the moment. And on the surface of that, sometimes the seeking comes and sometimes the seeking doesn't come. Just see how there are moments when you hold your beautiful child and there is no seeking, there is just love and gratitude. And there are moments where the seeking comes and thinking, oh, maybe there is something better or something safer or something other. You recognize that the design of this body-mind machine, oh, the cat left me a chair, is such that its job is to seek the safety, security, and pleasure. This is its job, the job of the mind. But you are not your mind. So you are that presence in which the seeking comes and goes. You are that conscious witnessing presence in which the mind shows up, and even the mind says that, oh, I shouldn't be seeking. That's a thought. That's a seeking thought, the seeking state in which there is no seeking. So just notice that deep down in your heart there is a stillness, and this is home. That stillness is always there, always already here, always and ever already here. It's just that the attention usually goes to the surface, to that storm, to that waves on the ocean. and completely overlooks and forgets that depth. And Dan says, love you all.
What
And-
guides the attention, but the source that I am.
That's, yeah, the attention is just the extension, it's just a vibration. And the source is the potentiality. John says,
Can you say something?
okay.
In a minute.
Yeah, I'll just read that one comment. Watching the arising and dissolving of thoughts in present experience, realize this is the essence of the whole universe. Okay, that is yours. Oh, did you want to say? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Maggie tells us that everything is perfectly resolved in the unborn mind. All these talks about the mind. Anybody show me a mind? There's no such thing as mind apart from thinking. And thinking is spontaneously happening. What's your next thought going to be? You don't know, but a thought will come up and you say, I think. Who is the thinker that's claiming it? A conceptual image that we've been told when we were little children that you are, Mom, this is me or I. Put that conceptual image on it and believe it, and then naturally you've got to create or form or go to more thoughts to try and get your way out of it. But what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? There's no thought there. Have you stopped breathing? Heart stopped beating? Hair and fingernails stopped growing? Anything? Only thing that's happened is thought has ceased for a moment. And watch what happens then. It's all, as it says, everything is perfectly resolved, and everything goes back to the perfect, the perfection that you are, that what is. Ideas, concepts and images, vibration and movement of energy, that's all that this so-called thing we call mind is made up of. But it hasn't got any power or any independent nature whatsoever. Can you have a single thought without the life essence? Can you have a breath or a heartbeat without the life essence? Can you even have a body without the life? That's what Christ told you. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Not talking about himself, he's talking about that. Go to that sense of presence like Nisargadatta says, stay with the I amness. The sense of presence. And see where it takes you.
Jesus also said, be like a little child.
Yes.
A little child, I think, could have been more specific.
Anybody unaware right now? And you can't tell me what that awareness is. But you can't negate it. It's not a thought. It's a sort of a sensation in your body, but there's a knowingness there. Knowingness without a concept. A word, pure knowing. And that's pure being. And nobody means nobody is unaware while that animating intelligence or life is vibrating through it. As soon as that disappears, life has gone out of the body. That's the finish of it. It just breaks down, rots away or whatever. That's a form of life, and it's even doing that. But where does it all go back to? Where does it all came from? It came out of the emptiness. It must go back to the emptiness. So, when you look at it, have you ever been anything other than that emptiness, cognising emptiness? that's forming, patterning, shaping, and experiencing and expressing as everything. But in its unity, in its absoluteness, it can't express in any way, shape or form without upsetting the absoluteness of it all. So pattern, shapes and forms appear so it can express itself and know itself. Life goes out of that body. There is no thing. And that no thing, even with the life in the body, but it's sort of recognised by the fact that you are. And we translate into words as I am, the sense of presence. And that's the primary moan of the Absolute. They say the first movement was Om. They spell it A-O-M, I think, or something, don't they? Not O-M, they spell it some other way. I am. But we've put more concepts onto it. We are this person, this body, this pattern, this name and form, shape. It appears to be so, let it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride while it's going on. If you're not enjoying it, it's because you obscured it. You're not seeing it, you're not sensing it. That heartfelt essence that you are. We use the term heart and use that simply because there's no centre to it. No, something. It's the core of beingness, or the centre of the spirit, if you like. It is the centre of the spirit, but it's nothing static. No mind. Like in the Raibu it says, there's no creator, no creation, and no creature. It's just all vibrating intelligence energy. And they're labels too. No thing, that's another label. What do you do without the word? Well, you can only be that word or life or whatever it is that's fusing the word, the beingness, everything. That's for patterning, shaping, forming this body and living and expressing it. You are life itself. And what do they call it? Everlasting life. Start there.
I have a couple of comments still here. And Amarnath says, leave it as it is, no need to interpret or analyze. Do not think, enjoy the presence, timeless presence, not present. Our abundance is our presence, and laughters and hearts. And Vivek says, nicely put, absence is presence. Byron says, Bob, why did you punch people in the nose?
That's what had to happen.
Yes, and Jagannath says thank you, and Byron, Bob, are you a visitor from the void?
The void is not no thing.
Avoid him like a plague. He's a visitor from the void. And nothing can be held or left, says Amarnath. And void is the visitor of Bob, says Amarnath. And shattering reality. And that is it.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not a vacuum or a void, it's life itself. That's ever fresh and ever present. and expressing and appearing in myriads and myriads of different ways and all its diversity. But it's still no thing. Suffused with that seeming energy, intelligence. Energy is just a vibration, a somewhat, a seemingly movement. And everything is that. But the amazing ways it can pattern, shape and form implies a wondrous intelligence. The way it fashions, shapes and forms. So it's always and ever, and always and ever, that which is right now. What is the timeless concept of time.
Yeah, but the burning question this week is whether there's any room for non-duality in football. With me today I've got Dino, a true ornament to the game, and he's sometimes regarded as the spiritual heart of the AFL. But
Don't start.
what do you reckon, Dino? Have you ever been in the MCG and seen everybody go up at once? It's an experience of bloody oneness, I reckon. What do you reckon?
Stop it.
He's overcome, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, then.
So energy can express an amazing.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, he's done.
Who wanted to?
That's all he wanted to say. Energy is expressing in amazing and wondrous ways. In extreme ways. I find the football quite extreme. Extreme devastation followed by extreme elation over the conceptual framework of the game, which is quite amazing, isn't it? But same heated reactions cause almost everything in a dream, like politics or whatever the things that are not present right here, right now. The context is the stories, and they are to be appreciated and lived fully. That's the part of the so-called experiencing. There's nothing wrong with that. Did you want to say something about that, Julia?
No, you know what? My head's, I don't know. My head's just going to what's the need to express? You know, like what would be like? Why not just let go of the need to express? Who? I don't understand the need to express.
There's no need.
So, but apparently it just has to express. I've heard you guys say, "Oh, it just expresses," and it expresses.
It doesn't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, does the bird have to sing? Does the grass have to grow? Does the sun has to shine?
Maybe it does if it did.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. The concept of having to or must is an idea. It is as it is. It isn't because it has to, or it isn't because it wants to, or it isn't because it cannot do anything else. Those are all concepts. Why does it have to express? It doesn't have to. But it expresses. That's what is.
What is the need to drink Red Bull in the morning?
It gives me wings.
Gives you wings.
Do you need wings?
Oh, good. That's a conversation now. Do you have to have wings?
They enable me to fly. I like flying.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just thought about it, like this whole idea of expression. When I've heard you all say, "Oh, the universe expresses. It's just what it's doing. It's expressing." I'm like, so what's like the point? What's the point of even needing to express? Like it doesn't have to, but it just does.
Yes. It doesn't and doesn't need, doesn't have to, it just does. You wanna come?
Well, it's just, as I say, Shiva Shakti. Shakti, his consort, likes to dance. And the world appears. Shiva's static. And that's all it is. They call it the dance of Shiva.
Mm.
A natural spontaneous expression.
And it doesn't even have to be there, and we can't even say that it really is there. We can't say that it is, and we can't say that it isn't. It's just appearing to be.
Expressing.
Appearing to be expressing, yes.
Expressing is the illusion.
That's right. Expression is the illusion, yeah, the appearance is illusion. Byron says, leaving void. And Vivek says, Bob, everyone are presence absolute. No bodies here, no visitors. And Byron says, but we must control things. We must control things. Mm.
The controller is the controlled.
Yeah, yeah. There is controlling happening, but and the controller and the controlled are concepts within the controlling.
Just like the thinker and the thought.
Yeah.
The seer and the seen.
Mm-hmm. And now Amarnath says, expression of the unexpressible. And Byron says, without control, we need more underwear. Ah, you're so cute, Byron. Where is the controller? Amarnath says. Amarnath says, where is the controller?
Where is the controller? As I say, it's controlling, but there's no controller.
That's right.
Because the controller is the control. Just like the thinker is the thought, I think. There's no thinker. But there is thinking.
Singular happening. Seeing, hearing, thinking.
Controlling, thinking, tasting.
Controlling, yeah.
The ing, something that's happening in the no thing.
Conceptualizing, dreaming, all that. Just seemingly appearing and disappearing, manifesting.
You know what's going to seemingly appear is tomorrow.
Seemingly.
Seemingly appearing on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 11, maybe it won't. We'll wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah. But there is a...
Just like this morning. We were waiting to see what happened, and it's happening right now.
But yes, we can throw that reminder that anyone who would like, especially from Americas, because that will be your time zone, about the time now, or a couple of hours before that, Bob has additional Zoom meeting that Julia is hosting, so anyone is welcome to go on the website www.sailor.bobadamson.com and click on that link and show up in the room and listen and share and interact. And there are 2 more Zoom meetings for European time zone and Australian. They all for Australian too. And there is a possibility also to email Bob and schedule a Skype session where you could have him just for yourself.
Who wants him?
I want
I do.
Who doesn't? And that is nearing to the end, unless anyone would like to say something.
Yes.
Please.
Peter first. Hemon first. You decide.
No, I won't go.
Thank you,
What I was
Peter.
going to do.
Just wanted to emphasize that we're all in this together equally. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, I have another comment here from Kieran. And Amarnath says, thank you, love you all. And Kieran says, so you are saying we are basically toddlers with an unplugged in gaming control, thinking we are playing. That is beautiful, Kieran. That's great. Yes, we are toddlers with an unplugged in gaming control, thinking we are playing. Yes, we are imagining to be doers. That's the dream. And Ram says, love you all, and love, love, love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dino, for coming into the
Without the beard. Can I say something?
No.
Oh, it's cool.
No.